You know the feeling. It's the quiet, frustrating suspicion that life isn't just happening to you, but that you are somehow participating in your own stagnation. You read the books, listen to the podcasts, set the goals, and yet there's a repeating loop playing out in your financial life. Maybe you hit a significant income milestone, felt that sweet surge of temporary security, only to watch, bewildered, as an unexpected expense, a sudden opportunity collapse, or an irrational splurge drag you right back to the starting line. It's not just the external stress of paying bills. It's the profound, wearying internal stress of feeling perpetually blocked. This isn't just about spreadsheets and amortization tables. This is about a silent, powerful truth that traditional finance ignores. The internal tension between the life you desperately want to build and the unseen, emotional force pulling you back in the familiar gravity of scarcity. If you feel emotionally stuck, vibrationally anchored to a reality you consciously reject, then you are exactly where you need to be. We're going deeper than superficial budgeting. We are examining the invisible contract you signed with money years ago. I want you to think about that pattern right now. Not the symptom, the overdraft fee, the unused savings account, but the pattern itself. Isn't it true that even when genuine, undeniable opportunities arise, a pivotal client, a profitable investment tip, a chance for a major promotion, a subtle, sometimes overwhelming, inner resistance emerges? Perhaps you procrastinate until the chance vanishes. Maybe you find a reason to disqualify yourself. Or perhaps, most insidious of all, the moment the money arrives, you feel an urgent, almost compulsive need to dissipate it, as if holding on to too much wealth feels dangerously exposed or morally complicated. This is the moment of crucial differentiation. Most people mistake this pattern for bad luck, poor discipline, or a cosmic conspiracy against their success. They spend years trying to fix the external mechanics, the budget, the job, never realizing the machine itself is running on faulty emotional wiring. The core pain isn't the lack of money. It's a heartbreaking realization that you are capable, intelligent, driven, and yet consistently find yourself financially returning to square one. It feels like swimming against an invisible current generated by your own unconscious mind. We need to acknowledge that your body and your history hold the emotional memory of fear. Financial anxiety isn't just a reaction to current circumstances. It's a deep-seated survival mechanism, often inherited or deeply programmed in childhood. You may consciously desire abundance, but if your deepest emotional registers are aligned with the frequency of fear, inadequacy, or the historical burden of scarcity, then your external reality must, by the laws of energetic congruence, reflect that low-frequency signal. Your energy field, shaped by old pains and limiting familial narratives, acts like a magnet calibrated specifically to repel the sustained flow of wealth. Until you change the vibration, the universe must keep responding to the frequency you are actually transmitting, not the one you wish you were transmitting. Today, we stop blaming the external world and start tuning the internal transmitter. We are moving beyond the surface struggle to address the deep, subconscious programming that has convinced you that sustained success is dangerous, temporary, or undeserved. We begin this journey by validating the emotional complexity of your relationship with money, recognizing that feeling stuck is not a failure of character, but a powerful signal that your inner world requires a necessary, profound recalibration. This is a turning point where we stop trying to catch the fish with broken nets and instead start building a new vessel designed for endless flow. The recognition that the block is internal, that it is a matter of frequency, is the single most empowering realization you can have, and it sets the stage for everything that follows. Now that we have validated the feeling of being stuck, we must trace it back to its origins. Your relationship with money is not an objective, clinical calculation. It is a deeply personal narrative, a blueprint constructed during your most formative years. We call this your money story, and it was written long before you had a bank account. Think back to your earliest memories of money. What was the dominant emotion in your household surrounding finances? Was it stress, whispered secrets behind closed doors, or quiet resentment? Did your parents equate wealth with arrogance, or perhaps with crushing responsibility? Often, Our most persistent limiting beliefs are not rational conclusions we reach as adults, but emotional residues absorbed through observation. If you grew up hearing that money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are corrupt, or conversely, if you watched hard-working family members sacrifice everything only to barely survive, your subconscious mind created an inviolable rule. Safety lies in familiarity, even if that familiarity is painful scarcity. It created a protective mechanism that repels anything that feels too big or too easy. Unconscious beliefs are powerful because they operate as truth filters. They dictate what opportunities you see, what risks you are willing to take, and crucially, how much financial fulfillment you feel permitted to keep. We must bring these unconscious rules into the light. Take a moment to name the single most persistent negative money statement you heard repeatedly as a child. That statement, that foundational axiom, is likely the key operating system currently overriding your conscious desire for abundance. Recognizing this programming is not about assigning blame. It is about reclaiming agency. You're the author now, and it is time to edit the script. The foundational axioms we absorbed, the money myths, must now be directly challenged and replaced. These myths are the psychological handcuffs that keep the vibration low. Myth number 1 is often, I am not worthy of sustained wealth. This belief is the root of the self-sabotage pattern, the feeling that abundance must be fleeting because your inherent self-worth does not match its magnitude. The replacement truth is simple and absolute. Your worth is inherent, non-negotiable, and completely independent of your balance sheet. Money is merely a tool, an energy exchange, and you are worthy of every positive exchange the universe offers. Myth number 2 is a scarcity mindset, the perpetual belief that there is not enough, that taking requires someone else losing, or that holding wealth invites disaster. We replace this with a deep, visceral understanding of true abundance. The world is dynamic and resources are constantly regenerating. Your success does not diminish anyone else's. In fact, your prosperity often creates opportunities for others. True abundance is about flow, not hoarding. Myth number 3 is a confusing conflation of success and stress. The belief that wealth requires endless, grinding sacrifice, or that the path to financial mastery must be difficult. We replace this with the principle of aligned effort. When your purpose and your financial life align, effort becomes energized, and success flows with relative ease and joy, not strain. Reprogramming means actively speaking the counter-narrative. Affirmations are not magical incantations. They are neural pathway disruptors. Every time the old fear arises, you must consciously interject a new truth. I am a magnet for aligned prosperity. I manage money with wisdom and confidence. My financial growth supports my purpose and the growth of others. This active reframing changes the emotional context of money from a threat to a supportive partner. Awareness alone is insufficient. Transformation demands action, specifically small, powerful actions that shift your internal state and reinforce the new high frequency. We are connecting mindset to tangible habit formation. The first critical shift is establishing a deep gratitude practice specifically focused on your current resources, regardless of size. Scarcity lives in future fear. Abundance lives in present appreciation. Every time you pay a bill, shift the narrative. Instead of resenting the outgoing payment, acknowledge the immense value that resource brought you, the warm home, the connectivity, the nourishment. This simple reframing immediately changes the vibration of the transaction from lack to fulfillment. Secondly, introduce the practice of prosperity visualization, rooted in feeling. Don't just picture the large house. Visualize the emotional state of the security, freedom, and contribution that wealth brings. Imagine yourself making thoughtful financial decisions, experiencing the calm certainty of your financial future, and generating positive impact. This repetition strengthens the neural pathways associated with financial safety and joy. Finally, adopt an internal accounting practice through money journaling. This is not tracking expenses. It is tracking emotional reactions. Note when financial fear arises and immediately write down the limiting belief it relates to. followed by the corrective affirmation. This habit builds a muscle of emotional mastery, ensuring you are operating from conscious intention rather than unconscious reaction. These micro habits are the daily tuning mechanisms for your internal transmitter. They are quiet, consistent movements toward sustained alignment, proving to your nervous system that abundance is not only safe, but is your new, comfortable baseline. The most profound shift we undertake is transitioning from viewing yourself as a recipient of financial luck to claiming your identity as a sovereign financial creator. True financial self-mastery is tied directly to emotional maturity and self-concept. You must step into the identity of the person who handles large sums of money with wisdom, ease, and ethical grounding. Ask yourself, who is the financially sovereign version of me? How do they speak about money? How do they handle unexpected challenges? This identity is defined by certainty, not hope. This new identity recognizes that prosperity is not merely about accumulating resources, but about amplifying purpose. When you see your wealth as a tool for creating meaningful impact, supporting your family, building community, investing in ethical endeavors, the emotional baggage of guilt or fear dissolves. Money, in this context, becomes morally neutral and profoundly positive. It is a conduit for good. This shift in identity requires shedding the victim narrative entirely. Financial setbacks are not proof of inadequacy. They are feedback, opportunities for calibration. The financially sovereign self takes full responsibility for their internal frequency and external results, understanding that the flow of money mirrors the flow of their emotional certainty. Embrace the knowing that you are capable of attracting, managing, and multiplying resources in a way that is ethical and deeply satisfying. When your internal feeling aligns with, I am a reliable steward of great resources, the external world has no choice but to deliver those resources to you. This is where true worthiness meets practical ability, forging an identity that is resilient, prosperous, and generous. The final step is to permanently anchor this new frequency and commit to the evolutionary process. Reprogramming is not a one-time event. It is a lifetime commitment to emotional alignment. Close your eyes and visualize your internal transmitter, the antenna of your financial consciousness. For years, it was broadcasting on a weak, fearful frequency, attracting instability and scarcity. Now, feel the dial turning, moving consciously past the static of old shame and fear, locking onto the vibrant, clear frequency of sustained, joyful abundance. Feel the physical sensation of stability and worthiness settling in your body, the lightness in your shoulders, the grounded strength in your feet. Repeat this commitment internally. I release the need for struggle to define my success. I welcome ease and flow as a natural state of my financial life. Every thought, feeling, and action is now aligned with my highest financial good. This is your commitment to emotional consistency. Commit to checking your financial frequency daily, monitoring your thoughts, and correcting the emotional signal the moment you detect fear creeping in. When you treat your inner world as the primary driver of your external reality, the struggle ends. The silent truth is this. When you change your vibration, the universe changes its response. Today is the day you stop merely hoping for wealth and start actively broadcasting the frequency of abundance. You are not just building a bigger bank account. You are constructing a bigger, more resilient, and infinitely more joyful self. Step forward into this aligned life now, knowing that financial self-mastery is already within your grasp. You have consciously elevated your vibrational set point. The deep, hard work of clearing the emotional residue is done. Now comes the pivotal challenge, the maintenance phase. It is one thing to achieve pristine alignment during a quiet, focused visualization. It is quite another to hold that elevated frequency when the external world inevitably throws a challenging curveball, perhaps a sudden market correction, or an unexpected, large expenditure that threatens to drag you back down into a familiar swamp of old anxiety. This is precisely where the phenomenon of emotional latency becomes critical. Your nervous system, deeply accustomed to the low-grade stress chemicals associated with scarcity, will attempt to revert to its default settings. It actively seeks the familiar comfort of chaos. Consequently, We must intentionally design and activate an internal financial immune system. This system is triggered the instant an external event attempts to provoke an internal fear response. Imagine, for instance, a particularly demanding bill arrives that is far larger than you anticipated. Instead of initiating the immediate physiological panic response, the familiar tightness in the chest, the sudden racing thoughts, you must employ a technique we call the 90-second recalibration. For precisely 1 minute and 30 seconds, the clinically observed time frame required for a typical emotional surge to process fully through the body, you must consciously halt all reactive behavior. During this crucial pause, rather than calculating the deficit or spiraling into worry, you deliberately access a deeply felt memory of profound financial security, professional triumph, or genuine, deep competence. You are effectively overriding the limbic system's primal fear signal with a pre-selected, high-frequency emotional antidote, proving to your system that it is safe to remain calm. Furthermore, to make this new, high-frequency irreversible, you need an energetic anchor that provides undeniable, visceral proof to your subconscious mind that resources are, in fact, genuinely unlimited. This is achieved through the active deployment of radical generosity. This mandate goes beyond merely setting aside obligatory funds for charity. It involves an active, daily practice of injecting meaningful, unexpected value into the lives of others. Perhaps this manifests as offering a highly detailed, unsolicited piece of advice to a junior colleague, sharing an incredibly valuable business contact, or even simply extending an unexpected, genuine compliment to a professional peer without any hidden expectation of direct reciprocity. When you operate from the deeply ingrained feeling that you possess such an abundance of resources, whether that be time, knowledge, or capital, that you can freely offer without reservation, you irrevocably solidify the internal belief that your personal wellspring is inexhaustible. It is a core behavioral paradox of abundance. To ensure you consistently receive, you must proactively demonstrate your overflowing capacity to give. Building upon this profound commitment, it is absolutely essential to adjust your expectations regarding the shape of true financial growth. Most individuals unconsciously anticipate a smooth, predictable, linear ascent. The reality of sustained financial evolution, however, is structurally fractal. You will inevitably experience periods of intense, rapid expansion, where opportunities seem to multiply effortlessly, followed by necessary phases of apparent contraction or deep consolidation. It is vital to understand that these contractions are not indicators of failure. Rather, they are the essential moments when your entire internal system integrates the new, higher level of flow. Consider the analogy of a high-performance athlete. They must be allowed to fully rest and recover after an intense training push before they can achieve the next record-breaking peak. Consequently, when you observe your portfolio temporarily plateauing or your income stream momentarily adjusting downwards, you must vigorously avoid the dangerous trap of interpreting it as empirical evidence that the old scarcity program is returning to dominate. Instead, view these quieter, consolidating moments as invaluable opportunities to deepen the roots of your internal security and strengthen your emotional capacity. True financial evolution is a marathon measured not by the velocity of your initial sprint, but by the relentless consistency of your energetic alignment over time. Commit yourself fully to this unwavering, foundational truth. Your capacity for abundance is fundamentally independent of temporary market forces. It hinges entirely upon the integrity and clarity of your inner signal. Today, formalize and seal this profound agreement with yourself to become the deeply vigilant, consistent caretaker of your own financial emotional state. Lock in the absolute certainty that you are now moving forward, deliberately, powerfully, and irreversibly, toward constructing a life that seamlessly matches the internal mastery you now possess. This unwavering dedication to internal congruence is the ultimate, non-negotiable guarantor of perpetual wealth creation. Reflecting on this journey so far, pause for a moment to feel the gravitational pull shift within your own consciousness. We have navigated the dense, pressurized world of emotional inertia, peeling back the layers that once convinced you that financial stability was a fragile, exterior condition, dependent on fluctuating markets or the whims of fate. What we have uncovered is infinitely more powerful. The realization that the quality of your external results is merely the echo of your deepest, most persistent internal signal. You are no longer navigating the turbulent waters of guesswork. You are now seated at the helm, understanding that the powerful currents that once dragged you toward scarcity were not external, but were generated by the unresolved tensions within your own belief architecture. Imagine the work we have completed as the intricate process of dredging a deep, silted reservoir. For years, the water flow was sluggish, murky, and unreliable, choked by accumulated debris, the fears inherited and the doubts adopted. Now, through intentional awareness and the courageous confrontation of those old, limiting scripts, that silt has been cleared. The source is clean, the channel is open, and the pressure is building. The implications of this are profound. The energy required to attract and sustain abundance has plummeted. Where you once had to strain and fight against an invisible drag, the path ahead now feels lubricated by congruence. You are beginning to inhabit a new energetic postcode, one where opportunity is not something you chase, but something you effortlessly recognize because your internal tuning fork is perfectly calibrated to its frequency. This internal harmonization fundamentally redefines competence. It transitions you from a state of anxious striving to one of relaxed certainty. Consider the subtle yet enormous difference between someone who hopes a check will clear and someone who knows, with quiet confidence, that the funds are already secure and multiplying. That certainty is the cumulative result of dismantling the old myths and building a bedrock of intrinsic worthiness. You have proven to your nervous system that financial well-being is not a prize to be desperately clung to, but a natural, expansive state that permits you to operate from generosity rather than scarcity. This shift is irreversible because it is rooted in experiential proof. Every time you consciously intercepted an old fear pattern with an active counter-narrative, you welded a new piece onto your internal infrastructure, making the entire structure stronger and more resilient to external storms. The subtle architecture you've constructed, the integration of emotional wisdom and practical self-stewardship, is now moving past mere habit and transforming into inherent disposition. This is the moment where effort dissolves into embodiment. The fear that once flared instantly upon market volatility or unexpected expense now finds no purchase. It is met instead by a settled calmness, a deep knowing that you possess the necessary emotional and intellectual resources to navigate any reality. You have, in essence, engineered an internal navigation system that automatically bypasses the old routes of panic and self-sabotage, defaulting instead to solutions, flow, and expansion. This refined state is a foundation upon which your lasting legacy will be built. We have meticulously prepared the ground, ensuring that the seeds of your purpose can now take root in fertile, emotionally rich soil. Everything we've discussed has led us to this final threshold, where we finalize the contract with your highest financial potential and lock in the quantum leap. We arrive now at the final, crucial understanding. The transition you have orchestrated is not merely a course correction in budgeting or investment strategy. It is a fundamental transformation of your existential frequency. You have successfully divorced your sense of inherent worth from the volatile performance of the market or the size of your current holdings. This is a profound anchor of financial self-mastery, the unshakable internal truth that your capacity to attract and sustain wealth is innate, independent, and boundless. The old fear, the quiet whisper that you were always one market dip or one unexpected bill away from collapse, has finally been silenced, replaced by the deep, resonant hum of competence and certainty. The final, essential insight is this. True abundance is not defined by accumulation, but by the seamless, unimpeded flow of energy. When the internal blocks dissolve, money ceases to be a heavy, burdensome objective and becomes what was always meant to be, a dynamic, morally neutral medium of exchange that amplifies your inherent value and extends your capacity for meaningful contribution. The previous life felt like trying to hoard water in a cracked vessel. The current reality is standing at the mouth of a clear, strong river, knowing the supply is infinite and that your primary task is simply to ensure the channels remain unobstructed. This realization frees you from the exhausting pursuit. When you operate from true alignment, the universal law of reciprocity takes over. You no longer need to exert brute force to wrench opportunities from a resistant world. Instead, aligned opportunities are drawn magnetically to the precise energy you emit. They recognize the integrity of your signal, the clarity of your intention, and the stability of your emotional foundation. They arrive not as challenges to be overcome, but as logical extensions of your elevated self-concept. The fear of losing it all dissolves because the all is now understood to be an internal resource, not an external commodity. You know, fundamentally, that even if external structures temporarily change, the internal engine of creation remains intact, capable of generating flow anew, anytime and anywhere. The greatest value derived from this entire process is not the resulting balance sheet, but the earned emotional maturity. You have learned how to be present with money, to handle transactions and decisions without the toxic overlays of guilt, shame, or anxiety. This mastery allows you to move through the world with a sense of profound ethical confidence. You are now free to focus your energy on the why of your financial life, the purpose, the impact, the creation of meaning, rather than being constantly distracted by the frantic, low-level worry of how to survive. This elevation of focus is the final, non-negotiable step toward true wealth. Your prosperity now serves as a testament to conscious living, a proof point that internal harmony precedes and dictates external fortune. As you step forward, understand that you are now embodying a new financial archetype. You are the sovereign steward, the conscious attractor, the patient multiplier. Let the final affirmation be one of settled identity. You are not merely a person seeking abundance. You are a person who is abundant. This shift in identity is permanent because it is the truth of who you were always meant to be. The journey of transforming your mindset is complete. The journey of enjoying your mastery has just begun. There is nothing left to hope for, only everything left to experience. Go forth and let the flow confirm the depth of the work you have done. Your abundance is guaranteed by your alignment.